Hola everypony, me llamo es Serena Pony, and welcome back to the reading of The Family I Never Had. Last time we left off, Zim explored his new home and learns about the Vanamelling mottos. He tells Dib about Christine, and now Dib thinks that Zim has fallen in love with her. Could Zim really love Christine? Let's find out. Chapter 7. What's in the Basement? After a couple of hours of glaring at Dib, another hour at lunch and recess, and a couple more hours of staring at the clock, the bell finally rang, and everybody started leaving. Zim sighed and left the building, heading down the front steps to start walking home. "Hey, Zim!" Zim groaned and turned around to see Dib approaching him. "What do you want now, Dibworm? Isn't Christine coming to pick you up?" the human asked the Urkin. "No, Dib. Unfortunately, she has to work late." Zim shook his head. "She's working on a top-secret case, which she has hidden in the basement. She should be home by the time I get there. At least, that's what she said this morning." "Oh," Dib blinked. "Well, okay then. Travel safe." "Come on, Dib," Gaz hissed as she grabbed the back of her brother's trench coat. "The new episode of Lost Girl is coming on tonight, and I know you don't want to miss it as much as I don't." "Okay, Gaz, I'm coming," Dib groaned before following his sister. "See you tomorrow, Zim." Zim stared at the human duo awkwardly as they walked away from him. Gaz and Dib enjoying a show together? Guess miracles do come true. Zim shook his head before he started on his way to his own new home. He sure did hope that Minnie Moose was able to keep Gur from burning down the house. 3 blocks later, Zim finally walked up the driveway to the house. As he walked past, he couldn't help but notice the little wooden cross by the driveway. It was the first time he'd seen it, but he could tell it had been there for a long time. The white wood was chipped, the paint starting to peel off. The red paint was so faint he could barely make out what it said. Sadie. Who was Sadie? Why was she buried here? Why was the tree missing a branch? So many questions, so very little answers. Zim couldn't take the curiosity any longer. He made it his goal to finally ask Christine about their house. But first, he had to find her. Zim shook his head and continued walking up to the house. When it was finally in view, he stopped. The Cadillac was still gone. Christine wasn't here yet. Or maybe she was, and she just got somebody to drive her home while the car was being worked on. Yeah, that had to be it. Zim sighed as he walked into the house, expecting to be greeted by the human. "I'm home," he called out. He received no answer. This made him frown. "Christine, are you here?" Still no answer. "Gur? Minnie Moose?" At the call of their master, the 2 robots quickly came down the stairs, standing attention to the Urkin. "Well, at least you 2 are still here," he smiled down at them. "Where's Christine?" "Blind lady not here yet, master," Gur answered. "She's still out workin'." "But she said that she'd be here by the time I got home," Zim frowned. "Meep," Minnie Moose squeaked. "Yeah, I guess you're right, Minnie Moose," Zim sighed. "Can't always predict what's gonna happen." Suddenly, his eyes lit up. If Christine wasn't here, then that meant... "My mischievous side is starting to run wild, guys," he laughed mischievously. "How about we go figure out just exactly what's in that basement?" Gur and Minnie Moose gasped. Christine had told them not to go in the basement, yet Zim was willing to take advantage of her not being here to break that rule. "But master, the blind lady said not to," Gur reasoned. "Oh sure, you listened to her, but not to me," Zim huffed. "What are you 2 scared?" "Me," Minnie Moose shook his head. "I know Christine said not to," Zim rolled his eyes. "But she's not here. She would never know, and she would never get angry. Come on." Gur and Minnie Moose looked at each other, asking themselves if they should break this rule with their master. Master. That was it. They made their choice just based on that one word. Zim was their master, but Christine was taller than Zim, and she was his mother, which made her his master, which made her the robot's master. It was all just a big chain of leaders. Sorry, master, but Blind Lady is your master, which makes her our master, Gur explained. Christine is not your master, Zim growled, and she's not my master either. Me, and she's not my mother either, Zim growled, his eyes blazing with a hated fire. Fine. If his robots were too scared and loyal to the human, then he'll explore the basement himself. I'm going down there, with or without you. When the robots did not budge, Zim huffed and turned away, approaching the basement door. He'll show them that there's nothing to be afraid of. With a swift turn of the knob, Zim opened the basement door. He looked down the stairwell and shivered. It was pitch black down there. Feeling along the wall, he found a light switch. He sighed in relief before flicking it on. Bright yellow light illuminated the room, giving Zim a full view of what was inside. It confused the Urkin quite deeply. Instead of evidence and work going on about a case, the room was completely empty. It was just a stone concrete basement. The floor was covered by a yellow straw, broken at some points, as if someone, or something, had been sleeping down here. There were chew toys laying all over the floor, and there were even 2 dog dishes. The room reeked of wet dog, but other than that, there was nothing else. Did Christine used to have a dog? Was that who Sadie was? And if so, why keep her here? Why was this such a big secret? Suddenly, Minnie Moose started squeaking like crazy. Meep, 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 meep. What is it, Minnie Moose? Zim growled, but gasped when he heard the next voice. Zim, are you here? Christine's voice called out. Just a second, Zim called, hoping that she wouldn't come to the basement. What the? Zim? Where are you? I'm coming. Zim quickly turned out the light and ran to the stairs. He was about to go up when he suddenly gasped, ashamed horror in his eyes. Standing at the top of the stairs, glaring down at him with her arms folded, was a very angry Christine Vandermelon. Chapter 8. The Truth. Zim Vandermelon, get yourself up here this instant, young man, Christine growled. Yes, ma'am, Zim sighed as he slowly walked up the stairs, hanging his head in shame. When he was finally upstairs, Christine slammed the door closed and locked it. She put the key in her pocket before turning to glare at the young Urkin. Do you want to tell me what it was you were doing down there? She hissed. I was, Zim started, but couldn't find a good enough excuse. I don't know. Zim, I am very disappointed in you. You deliberately disobeyed me. I'm sorry. I want you to go to your room right now while I think about what to do. In the meantime, you think about what you've done. Yes, ma'am. With that, Zim sadly walked up to the stairs and to his bedroom, Gur and Minnie Moose close behind. You were right, guys, he sighed sadly as he closed his bedroom door. What was I thinking? Maybe she'll go easy on you, master, Gur hoped. After all, you were just curious. But haven't you ever heard of curiosity kills the cat? Zim sighed as he laid on his bed, his face in his pillow. Why didn't I listen to it? Now I'm the thing feline. Me, Minnie Moose frowned. I know she's not really going to kill me, but she might as well. What kind of earthling child disobeys her mother's orders? She's bound to know that I'm an Urkin now. Why was he so upset about this? He couldn't understand. He had broken rules many times before and never shed an ounce of guilt. But it was different this time, because this time he had made Christine upset, which in turn made him upset. It didn't help when he suddenly started hearing her talk to herself again. I can't believe he did that, Whisper. He deliberately disobeyed me. I didn't think I would have that problem with him. It was silent before she started speaking again. Yes, I suppose you're right, but that's still no excuse. Tell him the truth? Whisper, what in the world have you been drinking? You know I can't possibly do that. Truth? What truth? Zim was highly curious now. What was the human keeping from him? Oh, I suppose you're right, Shebanian, he heard her sigh. All right, I'll go have a talk with him. Zim continued to lay on his pillow as he listened to the footsteps of his adopted mother coming up the stairs. He remained silent as she knocked on his door. Zim, are you in there, sweetie? She called. It's Mommy. Or Christine. Come in, Zim finally sighed. Christine opened the door and stepped in, closing the door behind her. She sighed when she looked at the position of her son. She walked up to his bed and sat down next to him. Are you still mad at me? Zim dared to ask. No, honey, I'm not, Christine sighed. It's not your fault. You were just curious. I'm the one who's at fault. But I'm the one that broke the rules, Zim frowned. How is it that you're at fault? Because I should have told you the truth about the basement. Some Vanamel and I am. Christine, there's obviously a big secret you're not ready for me to know, Zim assured. That's more than enough reason to break the second motto. No, Zim, it's not, Christine sighed. If I'm going to be your mother, you need to know what I really am. Zim blinked at the human, waiting for her to continue. When you went down there, what did you find? She asked him. A bunch of dog stuff, Zim answered. I assume that you used to have a dog named Sadie, based on the grave by the driveway. Oh no, sweetie. Sadie is a dog from a family that used to live here a long time ago. Maybe I'll tell you about it someday, Christine laughed before she sighed sadly. No, those things down there are not for a dog. They're for me, on the full moons. I don't understand, Zim frowned. What are you trying to say? I'm not a human, Zim. I'm a wolf blood. A wolf blood? Zim raised an eyebrow. What's a wolf blood? It's kind of like a werewolf, but more of a shapeshifter, Christine explained. When my anger gets out of control, my eyes change to a gold color, and I transform into a brown timber wolf. I can prevent it, but on the full moon is when I have to lock myself in the basement because I can't control myself. I also transform when I'm trying to protect someone I love. Zim couldn't believe his antennae. The human was a creature like him? He couldn't believe it. You're a wolf? He finally was able to stammer. Yes, Christine chuckled. Would you like to see? Can I? Zim gasped. Of course. Stand back. With that, Christine stood up from the bed and stood in the middle of the room. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath. When she opened them, Zim was surprised to see that the pale blue eyes had turned into a magnificent gold color, with a pupil and everything. He watched as the veins in her body popped onto her skin, turning black. She shrunk down onto all fours, and he watched with amazement as she transformed into a brown timber wolf. She was the most magnificent and beautiful creature he had ever seen. Wow, he whispered, unable to produce his excitement and wonder. You're beautiful. Christine smiled in her wolf form and approached the young Erkin, beckoning him to pet her. Can I? He asked quietly, already having his hand half raised. Christine nodded, making Zim smile as he gently rubbed his hand against her fur. It felt so soft and warm. Wow. He couldn't believe it. She was a wolf. A magnificent, beautiful wolf. He couldn't wait to tell Dib. After a few minutes of petting, Christine finally pulled away and transformed back to normal. "So, now you know," she sighed as she sat back down. "I'm glad that you told me," Zim smiled. "I wouldn't know what to do if I heard a wolf howling downstairs." "I'm glad that I told you too," Christine smiled. "But now you must promise me that you won't tell anyone. If you tell, it could put us in danger." "I promise," Zim nodded, secretly still planning on telling Dib. After all, what was he going to do? Chapter 9. The Final Decision. "She's a what? Shh! Quiet, Dib! Not so loud!" It was another day at school, and Zim was currently in the middle of telling Dib about Christine. He immediately regretted it when the human child started getting really excited. "I've never heard of a wolf blood," he gasped. "Are they like werewolves?" "Kinda, but more of a shapeshifter," Zim answered. "She can transform into the most beautiful brown timberwolf I've ever seen at any time she wants. Except on the full moon. Then she doesn't have a choice. Which is why she locks herself in the basement." "Wow, that's incredible." "Dib, you have to promise me that you won't tell anybody," Zim pleaded, grabbing Dib's shoulders and shaking him. "Promise me." "Don't worry, Zim," Dib groaned as he pried the alien's fingers off of him. "I promise." "Good," Zim sighed with relief. The two were silent for a moment, neither knowing what to say at this point. Finally, Dib cleared his throat. "So," he started, "are you going to tell her?" "Tell her what, Dib human?" Zim frowned. "About yourself, of course." Dib rolled his eyes. "I mean, after all, you know about her. Don't you think that she should know about you?" "I don't know, Dib," Zim sighed, looking down sadly. "What if you're right? What if I tell her and she doesn't want me anymore? Dib, I love her. She's my mother. She's the best thing that's ever happened to me." Dib looked sadly at the young Erkin as tears suddenly started rolling down his cheeks. Zim sniffed and wiped his eyes. He couldn't deny it anymore. He loved Christine and wanted to be with her for the rest of his life. He wanted to be a Vanamelon. "I'm sure if you tell her the truth, she will accept you, just as you accepted her." Dib smiled, then frowned. "But what about your leaders?" "I quit." "What?" Dib blinked in surprise. "You heard me. I quit," Zim growled as he reached into his pack and started searching around. "I'm not going to be an invader anymore. From now on, I am no longer Invader Zim. From now on, I am Zim Vanamelon." Dib watched with excitement as Zim finally pulled out what he was looking for, an Erkin tablet. Zim pulled out the pen and started writing a message to the tallest. "Dear Tallest," he spoke as he wrote, "I, Erkin Zim, have decided to quit being an invader. I will no longer be reporting in, and I no longer will be taking orders from you. I have decided to live the rest of my days on Earth with my new mother, Christine Vanamelon, and my new best friend, Dib Membrane. Should you try to get in the way of my new life, I will not hesitate to attack. I have learned that it is wrong to harm other species, and I am ashamed to say that I ever was an invader for you. Earth is a beautiful place with many nice people, and should you even think about bringing the Armada to invade, I will fight against you with the humans. This is the last time you will be hearing from me. Sincerely, Zim Vanamelon." When the message was finally written, Zim hit the send button and placed the tablet back in his pack. Dib smiled and Zim smiled back. "Did you really mean it when you called me your best friend?" Dib asked. "Of course, Dib," Zim smiled. "We're friends now." "Best friends," Dib smiled as the two shared a friendly handshake. "Well, looks like Zim has decided to stay on Earth with Christine and Dib. Will the tallest approve of this? Find out in the next episode of The Family I Never Had."